We are returning to, yes, sir. Oh, yeah. We are returning to open session from executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 4246(5), Exception 2, and contract negotiations, and there were no votes taken. Do I have a motion to seal the executive session minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're back in open session. If you would join us, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. Dana Long here. Julia Howe here. Beth Kaiser's here. BJ Whitehouse is not here tonight. And Julie Carlson here. Okay, consent agenda. No, not consent agenda. The next agenda. Okay, public forum. Would anybody care to speak? If not, forever hold your peace. Surprised the Taxpayers Association is not here tonight, yet again.
Having
Okay.
dinner at
Are they having?
Cushion's.
Oh,
No,
are they?
not all of them, but just some of them.
How many? It's about 20, I think. Okay, new business for discussion and possible action. The Elizabeth Stone Scholarship Awards, we are tabling until the next meeting because the final decision has not been made, but those will be announced at the June 17th meeting. We have three policies, three pretty straightforward policies. I know I didn't have to make too many marks.
No.
Good.
I don't want to.
One or two little teeny tacks.
Are we going one by one or we just?
Let's go one by one. The ELL staffing policy, I found absolutely nothing to object to in this policy. Very straightforward. I'm guessing it's mirrored after statewide language.
Good.
That's a tough audience.
This is a tough crowd, that doesn't happen too
No
often.
kidding.
That was good.
Okay?
I like flexibility and all that.
Flexibility?
Well, that you have to have flexible capacity in terms of staffing based
Oh,
on.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is not easy to do.
No.
No.
All right, then that will be set aside for a second reading at the next meeting. Access to public records policy also looks like it's an absolute official policy. Looks good, and we certainly needed one prior to this. I'm glad we're finally getting one. I only have one little dash that's missing in the phone number, 401-423. Other than that, one little comma that needs to be moved, sorry. Needs to go inside. And this is a little known rule.
Inside.
Inside the quotes down here. Just switch the order of the
I don't think you
commas.
have to have the dash.
But really, I don't know, I could be wrong.
It's usually parentheses.
Okay, any objections to the
Now, if
access?
that were a period, would it also be?
Yes, it would. Unless it was changing the meaning, unless what the little few words that are in quotes there somehow changed the meaning.
Oh,
It's the only thing, punctuation that goes outside is the
because I
semicolon.
always sit there and add parentheses at the end and labor over where it should go.
Okay, so pass on to a second reading, June 17th. Code of Professional Responsibility.
Since I was not here in December of 2000, well, I guess I was. So we read that. I'll go back and reread the, it references a code that I got it as a handout. As a handout, okay. Yeah. I will go back and reread that. Upon rereading
It's on
that.
the Board of Regents website,
Okay, thank you.
although there it's still marked draft. I called today to make sure that there weren't any changes. She goes, you mean you didn't change that yet? It has been passed, and she's calling tomorrow to verify it. And she said if there was anything that was changed, it was minor.
Okay, great, thank you.
So
Yeah, I have a hard time approving something I'm not heavily aware of.
this was, this policy was actually suggested of our attorney, who also drafted the language for us.
Very good.
Okay. Move that to the next meeting as well for second reading. Okay, then we are down to personnel. We have a request for a parental leave of absence. And from September 1st through February 1st next year. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And workshop discussion, NK contract status, where Julia and I are happy to announce that last week when we went to the North Kingstown meeting, they did approve the rollover language. But there were also a few other developments. One is their lawyer is suggesting that one of the reasons that so many questions arise about this contract is that it's a messy contract. It has the original document, then there have been 3 separate addendums, and that the people on the school committee over there can't understand the contract, and so why doesn't their lawyer get together with our lawyer, clean up the language, get the addendum language into the actual document so that it's one clean, easily understandable contract. I think that's actually a good idea. I think it's a good idea if it would help people understand the terms of the contract. So if the committee agrees, then we can contact, I guess, Phil Thornton and Larry Cerisi, and I'll email them. And let them know that their lawyer can contact our lawyer. Any objections?
Because I'm unclear here on the amount of time these things take. Do we need to do we pay per hour, or do we pay per hour?
We pay per hour.
So do we need to set any guidelines of if this takes over 10 hours, is a flag or something, is there?
I think they're just cleaning the language
Right.
up. I mean, they're not negotiating a new contract. So I think we're pretty safe.
Okay, let's check.
And the other development was that they are very anxious to open negotiations in the fall, in September.
To work on the tuition.
To work on the tuition formula. Now, we had been going under the assumption that we were waiting a year to see the fallout of the chart of accounts. They do not want to wait a year. They want to open the contract in September. They clearly have some items they're interested in negotiating our participation in, our financial participation in, their new wind turbine, possible wind turbine being one of them, being a bond. So I don't, it's clearly not ideal, but it is what it is. I think that if they are requesting that we open in September, that we should open in September. It may mean going back again, once again, when the chart of accounts, when we know what that reporting looks like, because I don't think, Jane, correct me if I'm wrong, that in September we're going to be ready to structure a formula based on the chart of accounts reporting.
I think Ryan has said the earliest is probably November, and they were, hoping that the latest would be January. But if we started discussions and meetings, we could at least maybe talk about what philosophically they want in the formula. Start there. And then maybe by the end of the negotiating period, we would have an idea of what numbers to pull from what reports.
Well, except that we theoretically would have to end negotiations prior to November, because that would be our notification date.
But they had also talked about possibilities.
That we can mutually agree to extend.
That would be a good reason to extend it rather than having to go back 6 months later.
Right.
and redo it.
Yeah. We can usually agree with that.
Okay, so that leads us right into the next